With the NFL draft approaching and the offseason getting off to a great start, it is about time that we start doing our mock draft. So this is my first mock draft of the year. If you guys enjoy this one, then I'll come out with a second one later. If we hit 20 likes on this video, I'll come out with a mock draft 2.0 later, maybe in April. But for now, it's mid-March. The offseason has got off to a great start, and it's about time that we start doing our mock draft. So let's go ahead and get right into this with pick number 1. Okay, so the Jacksonville Jaguars have the number 1 overall pick for the second year in a row. Last year, they drafted quarterback Trevor Lawrence. So it makes sense for the Jaguars to get a guy to protect Trevor Lawrence on the offensive line. So here we are on the draft board, and let me tell you guys about what I think about taking people early in the draft. So for the first round specifically, I'm really not thinking about positions of need as much as I'm thinking about players that are going to make plays, because 10 years down the line, are we going to be looking at, wow, in the 2022 NFL draft, the Jaguars addressed a big need at offensive line? Or are we going to be looking at, like, Aiden Hutchinson? Let's say he becomes a superstar. We're going to say, wow, the Jaguars passed up on a superstar, Aiden Hutchinson, and instead ended up with an offensive lineman, which, I mean, I understand that filling a position of need is important, but do you guys see where I'm coming from, where I'm more stressed about just getting playmakers, especially for a team like the Jaguars? They need everything. Like, literally. I mean, besides maybe, I guess, a quarterback, because they're going with Trevor Lawrence, it looks like, for the near future. But I guess, just for the sake of realisticness, I guess we are going to be taking an offensive lineman. Even though I would love to take a guy like Aiden Hutchinson or Kyle Hamilton, I think in real life, I bet they're going to take an offensive lineman. And I guess, I don't think it's necessarily the smartest move, but I think it definitely makes sense. So I would not be mad at the Jacksonville Jaguars if they took an offensive lineman here. So the 3 guys that we are looking at are Charles Cross, Ikem Ekwonu, and Evan Neal. So with the first pick in the NFL draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be taking Charles Cross out of Mississippi State. He is an absolute beast, standing at 6'5", 310 pounds. He is an elite offensive lineman. And I have the Jaguars taking him first overall in this year's draft. Second overall pick in the NFL draft, the Detroit Lions. Everything seems like it's going to fall into place for them. Edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson, coming out of Michigan. He is going to come home to Detroit, and he is going to be picked second overall by the Detroit Lions in the NFL draft. This makes way too much sense. He is an absolute beast on the defensive line. Standing at 6'6", 265 pounds, he is the highest graded edge rusher in college football. To me, this pick is a no-brainer. Alright, so next on the clock is the Houston Texans with the 3rd overall pick in this year's draft. So as you can see, the Houston Texans, it says that they need every single position, which is honestly true. I can't disagree with that at all, because they literally need every single position on both sides of the ball. So, going back to what I said about the 1st overall pick with the Jaguars, I did take an offensive lineman with them. I think the Texans are a little bit different. Now, in real life, I do think that the Texans are going to end up taking one of the offensive linemen, probably one of these two, Evan Neal or Ikem Ekwonu. So, I feel like that is what they're going to do in real life, but to be honest with you, I think that the Houston Texans, they need a playmaker. You can always find decent offensive linemen really late in the draft, but with these playmakers on the defensive side of the ball still available, Kyle Hamilton, Derek Stingley, and Kayvon Thibodeau, I think you have to take one of them. Honestly, you can't go wrong with any of them, but out of Notre Dame, the Houston Texans are going to be selecting safety Kyle Hamilton. This guy is an absolute stud. Standing at 6'4", 220 pounds, he can basically do everything, and I think this is a great pick. They can't go wrong with taking an offensive lineman, but I like to pick Kyle Hamilton for them. Now that we are here only on pick number 4, I feel like this might be the longest video on my channel, but let's just have fun with this. So, the New York Jets are next on the clock. Their biggest needs are wide receiver, linebacker, and defensive back. I think with a couple players here and there, they might be able to compete a little bit in the AFC. What is it? The AFC East, right? Yeah, the AFC East. I think they might be able to compete with just one or two more playmakers. And one of their biggest needs is defensive back. So I did say that I'm not huge on picking guys that teams need, but when you have a team need and they're the number one player left on the board, you just have to take it. So one of their team needs is defensive back. The best defensive back still on the board is projected to go number 3. We're ranked at number 3. Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU. I think it makes sense for the New York Jets to be taking him here at number 4. So let's take a look at Derek Stingley Jr. I don't know much about this guy, but looks like he's a 6'1 corner, 195 pounds, maybe a little bit undersized, but looks like this ranking is banking a lot on what Stingley put on tape a long time ago, but it's not as if that talent went anywhere. Okay, so it looks like a lot of what this pick is, or what these people are saying, is going off of his freshman year. I don't know why they're not talking about what happened to him recently. What happened to him? So I just did a little bit of research, and it looks like Derek Stingley Jr. has gotten hurt over like the past few years. Like, he's dealt with injuries, so that's probably why they're going off of his freshman year. Highest coverage grade in the country as a true freshman. That's insane. I mean, it might be a little bit of a risk now that I'm looking at it, but I still feel decent about this pick. Derek Stingley Jr., taken at number 4 overall by the New York Jets. In this weak quarterback class, I feel like the New York Giants are probably the team that would reach on a quarterback in the first round super early in the draft. We saw them do it with Daniel Jones just a few years ago. I feel like they're the type of team to do that. And who's the highest ranked quarterback? Is it... Oh, it's Sam Howell, ranked at 22. Just wanted to see that. But I don't have the Giants taking a quarterback. Their offensive line has been absolutely atrocious for like the past, 3, 4, 5 years. So honestly, I'm just gonna do them a service here. I'm just gonna help them out a little bit. I mean, I have to take a lineman for them. It would be cool to get them a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau for that defensive line, but I have a feeling they are gonna take a tackle or an offensive lineman, one of these top tackles on the board. I think they're gonna be taking Ikem Ekwonu with the 5th overall pick. I think that's what they're going to do in real life, as long as he's not off the board. And I think it is the smartest pick. So in my mock draft, I'm going to take I never know how to pronounce that. Ikem Ekwonu. I feel like I've pronounced it differently every time. But let's take a look. He's 6'4", 320 pounds. Wow, that's... okay. The single most dominant run blocking tackle in the country. Okay, that's pretty cool. Alright, so I think this is a good pick for the New York Giants. Even though this team really is not good at all, I feel like their number 1 need is offensive linemen, so we really did address that with this pick. Moving along, next on the clock, we have the Carolina Panthers. So, as you can see, their number 1 need is quarterback. So, honestly, I haven't really thought this through yet, to be honest with you. So, let's filter this by quarterback and see who I think that the Panthers are going to take. So we see Sam Howell, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett. They're all ranked late first round to early second round. So do I have them taking one of these quarterbacks? Let's see. Let's just go back to filter by all. Do I have them taking one of these guys? Yeah. Do I have them taking Evan Neal? You know what? I think we're doing this. We're gonna take our first quarterback of the draft. The first quarterback is going to be taken by the Panthers. Now that I look at this, yeah, I do think the Panthers are actually gonna take a quarterback. Guys, this makes way too much sense. Sam Howell played college ball in North Carolina. I think it makes sense for him to stay in Carolina. You know what? I have the Carolina Panthers taking the first quarterback in the draft. Sam Howell is going to be picked number 6 overall. So let's take a look at Sam Howell here. 6'1", 220 pounds. A little bit on the shorter side, but that's fine. He's not insanely short. I mean, 6'1's fine. Howell may have taken a step back as a passer, but he proved as a legitimate threat as a runner. Okay, so yeah, I think this is a good pick for the Panthers. Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral. There's a lot of other guys who they could have taken, but it makes too much sense for the Panthers to pick Sam Howell. With the number 7 pick, the Giants are back on the clock. To be completely honest with you, I would not be surprised if they doubled up on the offensive line and took Evan Neal as well, for him to play tackle as well. But that's a hard one, man. That would be a hard one for the Giants in real life. There's Tyler Linderbaum still here. There's some good guys here, but you know what, guys? At this point, just go with one of the best guys on the board. Because they already took an offensive lineman, addressed a need. Edge rusher is one of their biggest needs, but he's also the best player left. So, with the number 7 pick in the NFL draft, the New York Giants are going to be taking Kayvon Thibodeaux out of Oregon. So let's take a look at this guy. 6'5", 258 pounds. Thibodeaux has an elite first step with an ideal frame. While he lacks refinement, honestly, I have no idea what that means. But, yeah, so this is a great pick for the Giants, I think. So this is definitely what they should look to do in real life. Probably take an offensive lineman and then look to take one of the better players left on the board. So, yeah, I have the Giants taking Kayvon Thibodeaux. The Atlanta Falcons are now on the clock. So their number 1 need is receiver after what we saw with Calvin Ridley. That makes a lot of sense. Their biggest needs, it says guard and center, but it doesn't really say tackle. So this might be another one of those times where I just pick one of the best guys on the board. Drake London's still available, huh? That would be hard for the Falcons to pass up on, wouldn't it, huh? Jameson Williams is there. Okay, Chris Olave, a couple Ohio State receivers are on here. Okay, yeah, this is a tough one. I would say that the Falcons are probably going to take a receiver here. Drake London is there. You know what? I mean, there's 2 Ohio State guys. There's a guy from Alabama. But at the end of the day, we're going to go with the highest ranked receiver out of college football. We're going to go with Drake London out of USC. So let's see. Drake London, 6'5", 210 pounds. He is very tall. It's a shame London's season ended with a broken ankle. Oh, dang, that's tough. Wow, so that's actually a risk, because who knows how good he's gonna be when he's just coming off of an injury. God, I can't speak. But okay, that is now more of a risk now that I see that. But you know what? I think the Falcons are gonna be taking Drake London. I think this is a good pick for them. At this point, we are 13 minutes into this video, and we are 1/4 of the way done. So if you do the math, this video is going to last 52 minutes long. So I'm not sure if it's going to be that long, but this is going to be a long one for me. But anyways, back to the draft. The 9th pick belongs to the Seattle Seahawks. So their number 1 need is quarterback, but I don't think they're going to be taking a quarterback in this year's draft, especially because the class isn't necessarily that good. They do need offensive line, they need edge rushers, they need cornerbacks, and there's a decent amount of good offensive linemen, edge rushers, and corners. So they can't really go wrong with anybody left on the board. But with the 9th pick in the NFL draft, the Seattle Seahawks are going to be picking Evan Neal out of Alabama. So let's take a look at Evan Neal. He is a tackle at a whopping 6'7", 350 pounds. Is one of the most imposing specimens ever to grace this earth. And he moves like a man 50 pounds lighter. I mean, enough said right there. I mean, that's how you know this guy is going to be a beast. A lot of these offensive linemen, as long as they can stay away from injuries, they are going to be beasts. And Evan Neal is definitely one of those guys. So with the 9th pick, the Seahawks take Evan Neal. The New York Jets have the 10th pick in this year's draft. So, the Jets need receivers, linebackers, and defensive backs. So, I mean, Trent McDuffie and Ahmad Gardner are still there for them. 2 of the best defensive backs in this draft are still there. And that is one of their biggest needs. So, that's definitely something we should look at. Garrett Wilson as well, a receiver from Ohio State, is up there. We see some good guys down here. They also need linebackers, so a guy like Devin Lloyd would be really, really interesting. And so this is a big pick for them. This could be the future of their franchise. Earlier in the draft, they went with Derek Stingley Jr. At defensive back, so I don't think they're going to be taking another DB. But here we are, with the 10th pick in the NFL draft. I have the New York Jets drafting Devin Lloyd, linebacker out of Utah. So let's take a look at Devin Lloyd, 6'3", 235 pounds. He is a all-around linebacker, and he is an athlete. So, I mean, this is what you want to see out of a linebacker. Devin Lloyd has it. With Derek Stingley and Devin Lloyd, I think the Jets draft has been a really good draft so far. So, the New York Jets at number 10 take Devin Lloyd. At pick number 11, we have the Washington Commanders. So, their top needs quarterback, linebacker, and safety. I don't think it's very realistic for them to get a quarterback right after they traded for Carson Wentz. They gave up a decent amount for Wentz. I think it was like a second and a third round pick. So it wouldn't make much sense for them to draft a quarterback, although there are still some decent ones out there. There's some amazing defensive players still out there. Some cornerbacks, edge rushers, Garrett Wilson, receiver on the board. A couple offensive linemen are still available. So this is probably a tough spot for Washington. All the offensive linemen that they are looking at probably are already off the board. Quarterback, it would be weird for them to draft a quarterback. So this is an awkward spot for them to be in. So, you know what to do when you're in an awkward spot? Just take one of the best guys on the board. We're going to be taking Trent McDuffie out of Washington for Washington. So actually, yeah, this is another one of those picks where the player is staying where he went to college and just staying with the same NFL team. So 5'11", a little bit shorter. He won't be able to cover those taller receivers. 195 pounds, a little bit undersized. So outside of length, yeah, McDuffie has everything you could want from a high-end corner. At only 5'11", McDuffie plays consistently bigger than his listed size. He's only allowed 16 catches from 36 targets for 111 yards with no scores and 5 pass breakups. I mean, that's just amazing. One of the best players on the board out of Washington ends up playing for Washington in the NFL. At number 11, the Washington Commanders. I was about to say Washington football team, but the Washington Commanders take Trent McDuffie. At pick 12, we have Minnesota. Now, it does say that Minnesota needs a quarterback, but, I mean, they did just sign Kirk Cousins to a 1-year extension. It would be, I guess it would make sense for them to draft a quarterback to be mentored by Kirk Cousins for this season, but honestly, if I'm Minnesota, I feel like I'm only a couple playmakers away from being able to compete. So I'm not going to pull a Packers and draft Jordan Love when your starting quarterback's Aaron Rodgers. Instead, we're going to try and surround Kirk Cousins with some weapons. So, I mean, maybe not actually. Maybe we have to look at this defense, because our top needs on the offense are guard and center, aside from quarterback, because I'm not counting that. So this is a tough one for the Vikings. I'm not going to be looking at one of the top receivers, but one of their needs is cornerback. I mean, their best cornerback is I don't think he's that good, because I can barely name any cornerbacks on the Vikings. So you know what? With the 12th pick in the NFL draft, we are going to be taking Ahmad Gardner for the Minnesota Vikings. Another good cornerback taken off the board. This is one of the more better sized cornerbacks, because the earlier ones that were taken are like 5'11", 190. This guy is 6'3", 200 pounds. Gardner never allowed a single touchdown in his career, despite starting since he was a true freshman. That literally says it all. What else do you want me to say? I mean, Ahmad Gardner is absolutely amazing. And the Vikings are going to be taking him at number 12. To be honest with you, this might be best case scenario for the Browns. With Jarvis Landry leaving, the Browns' number one need is easily wide receiver. And the only one taken so far has been Drake London. There are still a couple guys out there that they could possibly take. Garrett Wilson from Ohio State, Jameson Williams out of Alabama, Chris Olave out of Ohio State. They can't really go wrong with any of these guys. So I feel like the Browns, this is really, for me, I'm honest, I don't watch much college football. I have watched these three guys play though, and to be completely honest with you, I think Garrett Wilson is the best. So for the Cleveland Browns at pick number 13, we are going to be taking Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. So let's take a look at Garrett Wilson. 6 foot tall, so not one of the taller receivers, but he is known for playing in the slot and being one of those quicker guys. Only 192 pounds, the natural. Wilson's ability to generate separation is the best in the class. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. He's also produced at a high level from both the slot and outside. So actually, yeah, I was a little bit wrong here. He is good in the slot, but he can actually play outside as well. So yeah, I mean, if you're a receiver and you're able to play in the slot and outside, then, I mean, at that point, you're able to do everything. You've got to be one of the best guys in the class. So for the Browns, if Garrett Wilson does fall this far, I think it's a no-brainer. Next on the clock is the Baltimore Ravens. So their biggest needs are defensive line and defensive backs. So who do I think that the Ravens are going to be taking here? So their offensive line is pretty decent. Another one of their needs, I think, is wide receiver. They do have Mark Andrews, but he's a tight end. He is their number one receiver, but yeah, he does play tight end. So a guy like Jameson Williams would help them out. But at the end of the day, I do think that the best choice for them is to go with a defensive player. And to me, this is between Trayvon Walker and George Karl. How do you say that again? I completely forgot how you say that. I watched this man play in like 2 games this year, but I forgot how you say his name. So, oh god, George Karl left. Whatever. Okay, we're gonna be taking him though because it seems to me like he's a little bit better than Trayvon Walker. So let's take a look at George, Mr. George. Okay, versatile Iron Man who can do almost anything a team could ask of him. He played at least 49 snaps in all but 1 game this past season. That's amazing. So if you're able to stay healthy, I mean, in the NFL, I mean, that's if you have skill, that's really all you need at that point. If you have skill, a work ethic, and being able to stay healthy, that's all you need. This guy can clearly do it all. I've seen him play, and he is truly amazing. Amazing. Oh my god, I can't speak. Amazing. So the Ravens are going to be taking Mr. George Karlaftis. I think I said it right. I have no idea. All right, so let's see here. The Eagles have back-to-back picks. So only one linebacker has been taken so far. In my opinion, the Eagles' biggest need is definitely linebacker. They have one of the worst linebacking cores in the league. For me, this is a no-brainer. Nakobe Dean. I know that was like really fast, but this is really easy for me. Nakobe Dean is a beast. His range at the linebacker position is unparalleled in this draft class. He's not only straight line fast, but he also processes and reacts with elite quickness. Yup, I mean that says it all. He was amazing for Georgia this past year. So this next pick for the Eagles. So we did just take a linebacker. Their linebacker core still is not amazing because, I mean, Nakobe Dean is automatically the best linebacker on that team now. So we could look at another one, but doesn't look like there's any amazing ones left. Neo Chanel, I've never heard of that guy once in my life. I'm sorry. So, another guy to go alongside Devontae Smith would actually be great for the Eagles. Another receiver. So that is something that they might be looking at. They do have another pick at number 19, so maybe if one of the receivers slides, but actually, you know what I'm looking at? For the Eagles, I feel like the smart pick will be taking a receiver right now because the Chargers and the Saints are right after them, and they both need a receiver, so I could expect seeing one of them taking a receiver. So I want to grab a receiver now so that I can take like a defensive lineman or a tackle at 19. You know what? I'm a big brain, bro. That was smart by me. No, it really wasn't. That just makes my life harder because I was gonna pick Chris Olave for the Chargers, but I mean, I guess not. We're gonna be picking him for the Eagles, just making my life harder, I guess. But yeah, this is definitely the right pick in my opinion. Out of Ohio State, Chris Olave, one of the best receivers in this draft class, one of the best route runners in college football. Olave is one of the most consistent downfield threats in the class. In total, 13 of his 65 catches ended in scores last season. That's amazing. Chris Olave, one of the best receivers in the class. back-to-back picks for the Eagles, Nakobe Dean and then Chris Olave. I'd say that's a great start to this draft. But remember, they still have one more pick. But for now, let's move on to pick number 17. At this rate, this video is going to last about 50 minutes long, and I kind of don't want it to last that long, so let's just try and do this a little bit faster now. Here we are with the LA Chargers at pick number 17. So we all know their number one receiver, Keenan Allen. I feel like he might need another number 2 receiver next to him. So there's Jameson Williams out there. He's a guy who they could take. They also really could use an edge rusher. So this is a tough spot for the Chargers. For me, it's between edge rusher and wide receiver. But here we are with the 17th pick in the NFL draft. The LA Chargers are going to take a beast out of Georgia, Travon Walker. So let's take a look at Travon Walker. 6'5", 275 is an elite physical specimen. And this guy is an absolute beast, and he's definitely going to help out that front 7 for the Chargers. So the Saints are on the clock next. This is another team that could use a wide receiver. Their wide receiver core last year was absolutely horrible. Michael Thomas, I have no idea what he's going to do this year, so it might be a safe pick to go with a guy like Jameson Williams or Treylon Burks. I haven't really seen him at the top of this draft. Where is he ranked? Treylon Burks is ranked at 31. I think, okay, that's questionable. I think he's definitely better than that. But with this 18th pick, I have the Saints drafting a wide receiver out of Alabama, Jameson Williams. He was an absolute stud, 6'2", 189 pounds. Now, the reason why I didn't pick Jameson Williams over like Chris Olave or Drake London, he tore his ACL in the national championship game, so this pick is definitely more of a risk. But he's definitely one of the best receivers in the class, and he's still the best deep threat in the class, as you can see here. So with the 18th pick, the Saints are going to be picking Jameson Williams. Look who's back on the clock for the 3rd time in 5 picks. So with their first 2 picks, I had them taking 2 positions of need, a linebacker, Nakobe Dean, and Chris Olave, wide receiver. So here we are at pick 19. They could probably just use one of the top guys on the board. Now, their offensive linemen, they are getting older, but their defensive linemen are also aging. So the top 2 guys that are still on the board are O lineman and a D lineman. So this is interesting for actually the top 4, the top 6 players are either O linemen or D linemen. So the Eagles really couldn't go wrong with any one of these guys. But with the 19th pick in 2022 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be taking Devonte Wyatt out of Georgia. Now, their defensive linemen, they're growing old. Guys like Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham, who are still on that defensive line that are getting older. They need some new, fresh talent on that D-line, and I think a guy like Devonte Wyatt could help with that. 6'3", 315 pounds. Between the 2 Georgia defensive tackles, Wyatt is the far more explosive athlete. That's why I took him over Jordan Davis. But yeah, I think that this pick for the Eagles is a good one, and that was pick number 19. At pick number 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Steelers, I feel like, are another one of the teams that are really just a quarterback away, and maybe like a wide receiver. But I feel like if they could draft a good quarterback in this draft, I think they might be able to compete a little bit next year. But it says they also do need tackle and cornerback. Now, a really good tackle is still on the board, which a lot of teams have passed up on. But you know what? I want to spice things up a little bit. The Pittsburgh Steelers with the 20th overall pick, not Malik Willis, not Desmond Ridder, not Matt Corral, but Kenny Pickett. Why is he ranked 48th? Am I missing something? Is Kenny Pickett like that bad? No, he's not. No. We're sticking with it, okay? I'm not changing my mind. Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh is going to stay in Pittsburgh. He is going to be drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick number 20. The single biggest riser at the quarterback position. Pickett didn't earn a single sub 70.0 game grade all year after managing only 10 big-time throws in 2020. Pickett totaled 29 this season. In his 4th year as a starter, Pickett looked decisively different. So, yeah, he definitely improved a lot this year. He's actually a pretty good size for a quarterback, 6'3", 220. I think Kenny Pickett is going to be pretty decent at the NFL level, if not better. So the Steelers at pick number 20, Kenny Pickett. Alright, so the New England Patriots are now on the clock. So, cornerback is now a position of need for the Patriots because J.C. Jackson is no longer a Patriot. But to be honest with you, it's right there at the top of their position of need. Wide receiver. They need to take a wide receiver with this pick. In my opinion, it's not even close. They really, really need a wide receiver. And I'm going to do this really fast. To be honest with you, Treylon Burke is... Where is he? Where is this guy? Let's go ahead and filter by wide receiver and let's see. Treylon Burks, yeah, there he is. Ranked at 31 in the class. I guess it looks like it might be a little bit of a reach, but Treylon Burks is, I think, far better than any of the guys left on the board in terms of wide receivers. And he's the only wide receiver left that I think is going to be taken in the first round. Treylon Burks, out of Arkansas, goes to New England. He absolutely dominated the SEC last year, and it was a lot of fun to watch. 6'3", 225 pounds. He's also really, really fast, along with that amazing size. I feel like he is NFL ready, and I think he is going to be great for the Patriots. He might immediately be their number 1 receiver because of how bad that receiving core is. But yes, Treylon Burks to New England at pick number 21. Okay, so this is probably a tough spot for the Raiders. So the two guys that I'm looking at with this pick for the Raiders, Treylon Burks and Travon Walker have been taken ahead of me, just like 4 or 5 picks ahead of me. So this is a tough spot for the Raiders, but if I am the Raiders, I'm going to be taking the other Georgia defensive tackle, the guy who I don't think is as good, but definitely a beast, Jordan Davis out of Georgia. 6'6", 340 pounds. This defensive tackle will not be moved in the run game. One of the best run stoppers in college football, and I think this is a great pick for the Raiders. If a guy like Jameson Williams or Chris Olave or Treylon Burks somehow fell to them, I would definitely take one of them. Or if Travon Walker fell. But Jordan Davis is here. I think it's a safe pick. Jordan Davis at pick number 22 for the Raiders. Alright, so the Cardinals are now on the clock. Their top 2 needs are guard and center. And the defensive linemen that I would be looking at for the Cardinals are now gone. Even though David Ojabo is still there, he is definitely a stud. But if I'm the Cardinals, as well as corners aren't really there as well. Andrew Booth is there, but I'm looking at offensive linemen for the Cardinals. So I'm looking at either Tyler Linderbaum or actually that's really no. I thought there was another. Yeah, Zion Johnson. I was about to say if Zion Johnson wasn't like first round projected, I would have been mad. But yeah. I feel like this pick isn't very hard for the Cardinals. Pick number 23, the Cardinals are going to be selecting Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. This guy is definitely one of the best offensive linemen in the draft. He fell a little bit, so the Cardinals got a little bit lucky here. He's definitely a plug-in starter for the Cardinals. 6'3", 290 pounds. He is the best center prospect we've seen in the PFF college era. Wow. Okay, I knew he was good. I didn't know he was that good. He was already the highest graded center in the country in 2020, but he took his game to new heights in 2021, earning a 95.4 overall grade. I think this is a great pick for the Cardinals, and yeah, this is their pick at pick number 23. Alright, so the Cowboys are on the clock at pick number 24. So I know a lot of Cowboys fans, so if I make the wrong pick here, I'm definitely going to get yelled at. So we got a couple guys we're looking at. To me, we're looking at the top 3 guys on this board. 2 tackles and the edge rusher out of Michigan, David Ojabo. So are we looking to get a guy like David Ojabo to help with this defensive line after we got rid of Randy Gregory? I think that is something the Cowboys have to look into. But there's also two really good tackles on the board. Bernhard Raimann and Trevor Penning. By the way, I have no idea if I pronounced that first name correctly. Bernhard Raimann. Oh, I've never seen that guy play. So I don't know much about that guy. But one guy I do know about is David Ojabo. So you know what? With pick number 24, the Dallas Cowboys are going to be taking David Ojabo out of Michigan. He, alongside Aiden Hutchinson, that was one of the best defensive line duos in college football. Ojabo played only 26 career snaps before 2021, but he made his presence felt in a big way, earning an 86.9 pass rush grade on 300 pass rushing snaps. Given his physical tools, the Michigan product is still only scratching the surface of his potential. So alongside Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and his great front seven, David Ojabo is going to be great for the Cowboys. On the clock next, the Buffalo Bills. So the Bills have a few options here. They could take a wide receiver. It might be a little bit of a reach, though, to go with a guy like Sky Moore out of Western Michigan. So I feel like they just got to take some of the best guys on the board. So the top two guys on the board are tackles. The Bills' offensive line is pretty decent. I would try to go for a playmaker on either offense or defense. Malik Willis, no, they don't really need a quarterback. Well, obviously they don't need a quarterback. What am I talking about? But I feel like a guy like Jermaine Johnson would help them out a lot. So with the 25th pick, the Buffalo Bills are going to be taking Jermaine Johnson. If they're able to develop this guy into a good player, alongside Von Miller and this new, really good Bills front seven, I think that the Bills are going to be amazing this year. 6'5", 262 pounds. There's a lot of physical specimens in this draft class. A lot of beasts on the defensive line specifically. Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. Due to how well Johnson performed at the Senior Bowl, he's unlikely to be a non-factor in the league. Moreover, he's one of the best edge setters in the class with 23 run stops and 14 sacks in 2021. That's an amazing stat line. And if Jermaine Johnson's able to develop into something good, the Bills are going to be scary next year. So with pick number 25, the Bills take Jermaine Johnson. At pick number 26, the Tennessee Titans. So they need a tight end, but I'm not really sold on any of the tight end prospects on the board. Right now, the best tight end prospect out of Colorado State is ranked at 64. I'm not a believer in any of the tight ends in this draft, as a lot of people are as well. So this is a tough one. It says they need guard and center. The top two linemen are both tackles. So you know what, guys? I'm gonna make what you guys are probably gonna think this is a questionable pick, but with the 26th pick in the NFL draft, I have the Tennessee Titans taking a quarterback, Matt Corral out of Mississippi. I like Matt Corral a little bit more than Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder, so I don't know why he's ranked lower, but I mean, out of Mississippi, Matt Corral was pretty good last year. 6'1", 205. Corral lost his top weapons from 2020, but didn't see his game slip this fall. He also protected the ball a lot better, recording only 10 turnover-worthy plays all season. I like Matt Corral, to be honest with you. I like him more than Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder. And I think they're going to be picking Matt Corral. Even if this means that Matt Corral is going to have to learn behind Ryan Tannehill. I feel like this is a good pick for the Titans, and I think it's time that the Titans take a quarterback. So Matt Corral is picked at number 26. Only 5 picks left. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now on the clock. So it says that they need wide receiver, even though just today they restructured Mike Evans' contract and they signed Chris Godwin. So I'm not really sure where that's coming from. I guess it's that they need a slot wide receiver, but they have guys like Scotty Miller or Brashad Perryman. I'm pretty sure Perryman's still there, right? Yeah, I think he's still there. But they do still have guys like them who can maybe step up this year, especially with Tom Brady coming back from retirement. So I don't think they really do need a wide receiver, but it says they do need guard and center. Their tackles are really good, and that's why they're not going to be taking Trevor Penning or Bernhard Raimann, who are still on the board. But I feel like they're not going to be taking a they're not going to be taking a quarterback. I mean, to be honest with you, if this was a different draft class where the quarterbacks were better, they might be taking a quarterback, but I feel like that's just not a thing they're going to do. Instead, with the 27th pick in the NFL draft, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking the 27th ranked player out of Clemson, Andrew Booth Jr., cornerback. So it doesn't say that they need a corner, but I kind of feel like they do. 6 foot 195. Booth is some of the best feet in the draft class, but he got exposed a tad too often for our liking. He gave up 29 catches from 46 targets for 412 yards in his first full year as a starter. So he might take a couple years to, develop in the NFL and learn, but I think he is going to turn it out to be a decent corner in the NFL. Andrew Booth Jr. at pick number 27. Okay, so the Green Bay Packers are on the clock next. So with these next two picks, the top two needs for these two teams are tackle and wide receiver, the Dolphins and the Green Bay Packers. And the wide receivers left, as I've said already, I feel like all the good ones are gone, so I don't think there's any more first-round wide receivers left on the board. So this is a tough spot for these two teams, but there are still a couple offensive linemen on the board, and I think that the Packers are going to be taking Bernhard Raimann out of Central Michigan. 6'7", 305 pounds. You know what's crazy about this guy that I actually did not know until 10 minutes ago? 2 years ago, Raimann was playing tight end. Now he's got a legitimate shot to be a first-round pick as an offensive lineman. He earned the second highest grade of any offensive lineman this season and allowed only 10 quarterback pressures. So I think this is a great pick for the Green Bay Packers, although it might be a little bit of a risk. But let's just quickly do the Dolphins pick as well. I have them taking Trevor Penning at pick number 29 as, wow, why is this not loading? Hold on a second, guys. Alright, about 300 years later, we are back, and here we are, Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa, tackle for Miami. Another beast on the offensive line, 6'7", 321 pounds. Penning is yet another physical run blocker at the position, 6'7", 329. Moves people with ease. 99.9 run blocking grade is absolutely amazing. It's against FCS competition. Okay, that's not the best, but still, that's the highest grade they've ever charted. So definitely a great 2 picks in a row. The Packers taking a tackle, and then the Dolphins taking Trevor Penning, another tackle. The Kansas City Chiefs are now on the clock. Their top needs: wide receiver, D lineman, and corner. I really don't think they need a wide receiver. Well, they could use a second-round receiver, but this mock draft is only first round. And for the millionth time, none of the other receivers left on the board are first-round talents, in my opinion. So I have them taking, I think they definitely could use another corner, but they don't need a guy that can get burned a lot. So a guy like Kyer Eli, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Out of Florida, though, 6'2", 196. Physical corner who shut down some of the SEC's best. But he, despite 7 penalties, that's a drawback right there. 7 penalties. Okay, let's see. Any other guys? Actually, Sky Moore wouldn't be a terrible pick out of Western Michigan. I feel like he's not up there on the level of some of the other receivers that have already been taken, though. So you know what? This might be a bit of a risk. But yeah, I am going to end up going with... this corner is also here from Baylor. This is the point of the draft where I do not know much about these guys. I'm sorry. Jalen Pitre? I swear I don't know. Pitre was a massive reason for the Bears' defensive success. I thought that was the Chicago Bears for a second. 47 stops. Slot corner. You know what? I feel like the Chiefs could use a slot corner, to be honest with you. So, you know what? I'm going to have the Chiefs taking this guy, Jalen Pitre, out of Baylor. This is probably the easiest pick of the draft. Such an obvious decision for me. To be honest with you, the Bengals just have to take the top offensive lineman on the board. And at this point, it looks like that is Zion Johnson out of Boston College. This guy is a beast. 6'3", 316. Johnson started his career at Davidson before transferring and starting his last 3 years at guard for Boston College. His physicality took a noticeable leap in 2021, only allowing 6 quarterback pressures. I think that Zion Johnson is going to be great for the Bengals, and hopefully he will help protect Joe Burrow. But with 31st overall pick, the Bengals take Zion Johnson. Alright guys, I kind of messed that up a little bit. As you can see, I meant to take Jalen Pitre for the Chiefs and Zion Johnson for the Bengals. So just know that that's swapped, okay? Because I accidentally did not pick Jalen for the Chiefs. And so that I accidentally had Zion for the Bengals. That's normally a thing that I would redo. But right now, I'm so done. I'm done talking. This is my last pick. So just know, whenever you're looking at my mock draft, Zion Johnson to the Bengals, Jalen Pitre to the Chiefs. Just swap that. Okay, now that that's out of the way, 32nd pick, final pick of the draft. And you know what? Might as well spice things up a little bit. Let's not be boring. Let's have a little bit of fun. The Lions are going to be taking a quarterback, Malik Willis, out of Liberty. That is the final pick of the draft. Malik Willis, 6'1", 215 pounds, electric playmaker. The Liberty quarterback is still too far of a roller coaster from game to game, so I do feel like that's why I didn't have him going earlier, but I think the Lions could take a risk on him. But best believe I'm not doing the second round, bro. I am not, I just can't do this. Alright, well, this video was really long. I about lost my mind to like pick 30, even though I knew we only had 3 picks left. That's when I like literally, my brain is now sleeping. This video is gonna take 600 years to edit. But that's gonna do it. If you enjoyed, please do me a favor and hit the like button. This video took so long. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Drop a comment. Let me know if you disagree with anything. I already know a lot of people are gonna be yelling at me for different picks. Like the Matt Corral to Tennessee, a lot of people are probably gonna be mad at. Kenny Pickett to the Steelers, even some people probably, you know, a lot of these different picks. Some people are probably going to be mad at me for taking Charles Cross first overall instead of like Evan Neal. But it's all over now. There's no looking back. I'm actually happy with how this mock draft went. I'd say that this is pretty realistic. I did have some fun with a couple picks like Matt Corral and Malik Willis. I feel like those picks in real life would. The internet would have a field day with those picks, but that is gonna do it. I'm done talking. I'm sure you're tired of probably hearing my voice. I'm done. I'm out. I can't do this anymore.